Our next speaker will be Eric Carlin, and he's going to speak on the risk and resilience, the evidence for family-based prevention. And Eric has recently taken up a new position as Director of SHAP, the Scottish Health Action on Alcohol Problems. He's also currently carrying out PhD research based at Birkbeck College, London, exploring how theories of social exclusion, resilience and social capital can describe contemporary youth transition experiences in Pilton, Edinburgh. Since 2010, Eric has been a member of the UK's Independent Scientific Advisory Committee on Drugs. From 2008 to 2010, he was a member of the UK Government's Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs. He also served for 6 years as Vice Chair of the United Nations NGO Committee on Drugs and as Chair of the English Drug Education Forum. He was Chief Executive and Mentor UK for 9 years, a charity which focuses on promoting effective drug misuse prevention activities. And prior to that, he was Chief Executive of Angel Drug Services, a London-based street drugs agency. He's also served for 3 years as Chair of Islington Community Health Council in London. And we're very pleased that he's come over here today to bring that experience from the UK and to talk to us today. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Eric Carlin.
I'm not tall enough, all of which tells you that I'm very old and I've been around for a long time. Thank you very much. It's really nice to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. I just want to make a few introductory comments, just to draw attention to. It really strikes me every time I come to Ireland, the similarities between Ireland and Scotland in terms of our history. We have a shared history, we have people. And just to give you an indication, my middle names are Joseph Francis, thanks to my grandmother, so you can guess what my lineage is. Hopefully we have a sense of humour that we share, and a sense of fun, and a sense of carnival. And related to the idea of carnival, we enjoy our drink and we enjoy our drugs. Unfortunately, that gives us social problems. And in Scotland, we're very, very conscious, particularly of the problems that we're currently having in relation to the legal drug of alcohol, and we're taking action on that. I think just to say as well that I think that we share in common that there are signs, there are some hopeful signs, without being Pollyanna-ish about it. There are some hopeful signs that some of the deep-rooted problems that we've got in our societies are actually beginning to be addressed. Evidence-based practice for prevention. This conference and the promotion of strengthening families and other evidence-based practice is a great indication of a move in the right direction. I will be actually stating kind of throughout my presentation that we need more evidence, and we need to actually be honest about what does work and what doesn't work, and drop the things that don't work and do more of the things that do work and learn more about why they work. Just to say as well, I'm sorry the minister's gone because I was going to give him compliments. I'm not sure how often government ministers get compliments in Ireland, not often in the UK. But just to say that my organisation, SHAP, I've only been there for 3 months, so I can't take responsibility for a lot of the achievements. We've been very pleased that the Scottish Government has actually listened to our advocacy for health being the central component of alcohol policy, and so and price being an important component of that. And so the Scottish Government has actually kind of moved to introduce a minimum unit price for alcohol. Of course, I'm sure you're not surprised that the alcohol industry is not really that happy about this, and they're challenging it at EU level. But we've been really pleased that the Irish Government has written in strong support of the Scottish Government's intervention, and we're really delighted with that. So that's another thing that makes it good to be here. Okay. So what I'm very much what I'm going to give you today is a very kind of general overview. As I say, the evidence base for effective prevention is really a developing piece. So I think we need to kind of learn from what we have got. We need to promote what we have got. But let's not overclaim for some of the things that are going as well. So there's a note of caution that has to kind of go through. We need to be as scientifically rigorous in terms of our claims for prevention as scientists would be expected to be in trials for drugs, for example. So I'm going to talk about discourses of social exclusion and antisocial behaviour, concepts of risk and resilience. I'm going to give a few examples of evidence-based for prevention programmes. You'll be pleased to hear I'm not going to be talking about strengthening families, because I think there's a lot of discussion about strengthening families here today, and I'll be looking to listen and learn from your experiences rather than trying to be an expert on that one myself. And then I'll hopefully draw some conclusions. When I met Clina for the first time last night, and when she said to me, "Oh, you sent over your presentation, and it's all kind of pictures," so I didn't really know what you were going to say, and I thought, well, yeah, no, you're not the only one necessarily on that one. So it's a work in progress, as indeed we all are. So hopefully you can bear with me, and there'll be something coherent that will come out of it. Can I just read you a quote, first of all, about young people? The children now love luxury. They have bad manners, contempt for authority. They show disrespect for elders and love chatter in place of exercise. Children are now tyrants, not the servants of their households. They no longer rise when elders enter the room. They contradict their parents, chatter before company, gobble up dainties at the table, cross their legs and tyrannize their teachers. And that's attributed to Socrates by Plato. So the issues that we're actually kind of dealing with young people are not actually particularly unique to our time and place. Don't worry, she's not here. Yeah, you can tell she's as popular in Scotland as she is in Ireland. I mean, this is very much my personal perspective. I think that politicians such as Margaret Thatcher didn't create this idea that there's no such thing as society and we're all individuals and we just need to strive to do better and to pull ourselves up. I think that they embodied the ideas that were around, and I think a lot of those ideas have actually continued to the present day. And actually, just echoing Fergal's kind of comments earlier, it's almost we need to build strong societies and we need to build strong communities. Not just talking about the individual. It's not saying that the individual isn't important and educational interventions aren't important, but unless we take a whole societal approach to reducing social disadvantage and inequality, we're going to just be kind of firing into the wind on this one. So basically, that's my an underlying theme, and there are strong societies, and different people have different ideas about what society actually means. I'm working with a sociologist called Elliot. Well, not working with him because he's dead, but I'm using his work. A sociologist called Elias, who emphasises that rather than getting hung up on what's more important, individuals being strong and encouraged to thrive, or political changes to reduce social inequality so that communities are actually kind of stronger. Don't get hung up on that, because actually the individual doesn't exist without society, and the society doesn't exist without the individual. What we need to do is influence all the networks and all the figurations that are kind of constantly changing all the time, and just don't get hung up on that. It's not, you can't say one thing or the other, because it's a dynamic process. We are all a dynamic process. I hope that's not too sociological theory. I hope it makes some sense. And I just now want to kind of just talk about kind of the concept of social exclusion. And I think this is a problematic concept. It's been picked up, social exclusion was picked up as an idea in the 1980s in France, really, to describe the multifaceted components of poverty, so that poverty wasn't just about economic poverty. I think the idea was about inclusion rather than about exclusion, but I think that as the discourse has actually kind of developed, it's become more about exclusion, and the discourse ends up problematic in some ways, because you actually end up saying, We're the 80% who are included, and you're the 20% who aren't included. And we can tell you what we can recognise you because we know how you talk and how you look and what you do. So you're not part of society. And I'm arguing for a kind of a different way of actually looking at this, using, and this isn't unique to me. Levitas has actually written widely on this. That actually what we need to do is define society as actually being the 100%, and we actually need to say that there's some people within that society who are less equal and more disadvantaged than others, and actually let's not tell them they're excluded. Let's redefine society and look at reducing those inequalities. I'm doing my research in this place called Pilton, which is really like Ballymun. Actually, even the pictures, I looked it up on the internet. Very, very, very similar situation, I guess, in that you've got a city which might be kind of doing quite well round about it, but you've got a kind of a little area of disadvantage in the middle of advantage. Edinburgh is particularly like that. I'll tell you a wee bit about Edinburgh, but Edinburgh is particularly kind of a rich city with little pockets of really serious disadvantage within it. We've got this, I don't know if you have this programme, The Secret Millionaire. Well, this is this guy who went to Pilton to tell the people in Pilton that actually the social problems that they experienced were nothing to do with the poverty and disadvantage and stigma that they experienced on a daily basis. It was to do with not being strong enough and not pulling yourself up, and that's all you need to do is actually believe in yourself. I just want to kind of read you something from the Home Office in the UK about kind of the impact of poverty and disadvantage on drug use. Drug use, and especially drug dependency, takes root where people lack social or family support, are cut off from community life, feel powerless, and are socially excluded. Where local people don't reject drug use, and local attitudes and values can support illegal activity. Where people earn more money selling drugs than by any legal method, where drug users and suppliers are admired by some impressionable young people for whom violence, aggression and law-breaking are attractive, where there is a concentration of residents with psychological and personal problems, including drug problems, for whom drugs seem like a solution, where local energy to tackle problems is eroded by the physical state of the environment, a sense of powerlessness, crime, and easy availability of drugs, and where other services for these communities are weak, distant, and culturally separate. We have to address all of those things in our drugs and alcohol strategies. There's no way around this. So it's not education, or we need to be addressing all of these things. So I'm just kind of tell you a wee bit about Edinburgh. A Tale of Two Cities. This is what Edinburgh looks like to the tourist. You could actually kind of come to Edinburgh, I'm sure many of you have, and only see this and think this is actually the experience of Edinburgh. One in four school children in Edinburgh goes to private school, so that gives you an idea of the kind of socio-economic makeup of the city. Where I'm doing my research is a wee bit. Actually, do you know it's about 2 miles away up the road from those other pictures. It's called Pilton. It's characterised as being exactly like this. This is the Craig Royston High School, which was set fire to about 1.5 years ago, and there were all these lurid newspaper reports of children kind of attacking the firemen as they were trying to put the fire out. I don't know whether they were actually true. They didn't have pictures of it, but it was reported. Trainspotting, the film, was filmed there in 1986, 87, I think. And the stigma that's related to actually this area has actually been there from the time when it was actually built. It's continued through generations. Trainspotting, I have to say, did not help. But no matter how much people kind of try to kind of pull themselves out of this, a lot of the stigma that relates to this community kind of continues. Yeah, and this is just a hopefully kind of illustration of kind of how kind of stigma is not a good thing. I guess I'm making these as kind of jokey comments, but I'm actually kind of being really serious as well about the fact that actually we need to address stigma, and we need to address social and economic disadvantage, and we need to, if we're actually going to be addressing drug and alcohol issues. And this is actually real Pilton. This is what I'm working in a youth centre for my research at the moment, one day a week, and I see loads of people doing. I'm not pretending that they don't have a lot of hardship, but I see a lot of people doing really well. I see families, I see communities, I see really kind of strong bonding among young people. I see people who have got a history of the place. It's a place where people stay. I don't know what Ballymun's like. People stay there. So there are communities that have been there and extended families that have been there for a long time. And that's good in some ways, and it's bad in other ways. It's not a straightforward issue. You can actually end up just being stuck, but you can also have a very kind of strong sense of community. So it's a mixed bag, really. And I guess like my argument is that a lot of poor areas are never portrayed as being a mixed bag. All that we hear is about how bad the areas are and how bad particularly the young people are in these areas. And this is not to deny that we don't have serious problems in Pilton. Just the figures here. As I say, we've got serious problems in Scotland with alcohol, but Pilton's got 3 times the national average admissions for alcohol misuse to hospital, 7 times for drugs. So I'm not painting a picture saying it's all lovely and wonderful. They do have serious problems. But I guess just to roll that out, the problems are not just related to drugs and alcohol. I did a comparison of Craig Royston, which is the local high school, with other schools in Edinburgh, and basically, Craig Royston, 3% of young people get these qualifications, whereas 2 miles up the road, 65% get them. That's appalling, absolutely appalling. And then the following year, it goes down to 3 or more awards at SE, that's Scottish qualification level 6. None get these qualifications at Craig Royston High School, yet 48% get them 2 miles up the road. I think that's appalling, an absolutely appalling statistic. And that has an impact on where people actually go to afterwards as well. So basically, 1 in 3 people leaving this school don't go into education, employment, or training, and it's the highest in the country. But it's hit doubly problematic, I think, in that it's in a city where people think it's wealthy and doing well and a nice place to visit. So it's actually kind of a real kind of hidden problem. But basically, the point is that actually, in terms of risk factors, there are environmental and family and individual and personality and educational risk factors, all of which make problematic drug use more likely. So actually, we need to have strategies that are actually impacting on all of those. And I think somebody mentioned the word I think, Fergie, you said politics earlier on. Yeah, it needs political action as well as actually interventions of people working at frontline level to actually do to do evidence-based work. Five minutes, okay. Just in terms of the concept of resilience has actually arisen. People have actually talked about this. I guess I'm not saying chuck out resilience. Absolutely, don't chuck out resilience. But actually, if resilience is all about just the individual being strong, that's not good enough. We need to be doing more of that, more than that. So my kind of final comments are moving on to just talking about kind of approaches that have been deemed to be working. I see over here you've got the UNODC Guide to Implementing Family Skills Training, which is over here, which actually highlights that family skills training programs have been extensively evaluated and have been found to be effective in preventing substance abuse and other risky behaviours, but that they have to be part of a multi-component programme that offers other interventions in other settings. So that's my underlying theme that's coming through everything that I'm speaking about. And examples of effective programmes, strengthening families has been well evaluated. Life skills training, which aims to enhance all these kind of things, assertiveness, self-esteem, social efficacy, social anxiety, influenceability, and locus of control, has been deemed to be effective in relation to knowledge, attitudes, and normative expectations. Normative expectations, not all young people use drugs, not all young people will get into problems with drugs, and not all poor people are just out to beat up old grannies. You know, life skills training can actually kind of impact positively on all of that. Just to kind of draw attention to you, that you can, and I've got references at the end of this presentation as well. UDAP Unplugged is a research project that was funded by the European Union, a school-based prevention programme evaluating 7 European countries. After completing the programme, it showed successful outcomes in relation to smoking, drinking and drunkenness 15 months afterwards as well. But just to say as well, when I said let's not overclaim for this, there are some areas with this evaluation where they don't know exactly what's happening. So it's more successful for alcohol and cannabis than for smoking. We don't necessarily know why. Better for frequent use than for sporadic users. That's probably a really good thing. And more successful for boys and girls. There's also some variation between what happened in Northern European countries and Southern European countries with this evaluation as well. The argument is we need more evaluation, we need to do more of it, we need to do more testing with this and with other programmes. So that's my kind of my overriding theme. I hope that has been a kind of fairly coherent presentation. Please keep on running Strengthening Families. Please keep on learning from what you're doing and be honest in your evaluations about what you think is actually working and what isn't. And please write up what you're doing and share it with other people, because we need more evidence for prevention. Just again, it's not just about individual behaviours. We need to reduce structural disadvantages in local communities and in our wider society. But we need to promote and be positive about the fact that we do have evidence of some effective interventions, and we should actually be doing. Okay, that's some references, and I just want to, this is Christopher Columbus working out where he's going to, so good luck and wherever you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric, for that very informative talk. And it was interesting to hear, just like Ballymun, there are many families doing well in Pilton, many families struggling, and it's kind of what's the overall balance. And I think one of the challenges that often that we face is, as families do well, do they stay in the community and help strengthen that community, or do they leave the community? And I think that's a big challenge for us, and how are we going to strengthen our community over time? I was very interested in what you had to say about all the reasons where drug use flourishes, and I might get that whole list off you again. I got some of them where social and family life are poor, or where social exclusion exists, or where you can make more money selling drugs than legal ways of making a living. So I'd like to get that full list of things off you there. And I share with you your optimism that, you know, the more evidence-based our work, the better our outcomes will be, and that we do have hope and we can improve and strengthen our communities and strengthen our families. But we do need to be evidence-based, and we do need to evaluate our work and test our work rigorously, and, as you say, not overclaim for our work.